pretty good friends.
Good evening. Welcome to tonight's special edition on the Japanese industrialization. This is Jessica Park reporting from RJ World News. Tonight we're going to have a Japanese expert, Tori Lee, joining us. We also have RJ reporter Tina Gang live from Japan with exclusive interviews with Isakaki Yataro and Matthew Perry. Just like other Asian countries such as China, Japan was pressured into industrialization. However, most Asian countries were unwilling to industrialize their countries. But Japan was the only one that really embraced the industrialization rather than other Asian countries that fought against it until it was finally forced upon them. Welcome, Tori. Please tell us, why did Japan end up embracing the industrialization? From what I know, most countries had to go through much rioting for their industrialization to occur. For Japan, how peaceful was the transition?
Well, the transition was pretty peaceful because Japan really embraced industrialization. But within Japan, there were some uprisings in the late 18th century. Rural riots started and increased over time. The riots were not political riots, but were aimed at wealthy peasants, merchants, and landlords. And although the riots were stopped fairly easily, they actually contributed to Japan's willingness to embrace industrialization when the opportunity arose.
Could you tell us about what Japan was like before all this happened? And what brought Japan to this point? Why did Japan embrace Western pressure so easily?
Well, before industrialization occurred, the Japanese government was having some serious money problems. The taxes were based on agriculture, even though the Japanese economy was growing commercially. During the 19th century, commerce expanded and manufacturing was gaining in the countryside. So later, when the Western challenge revealed that they needed even more economic growth, Japan was willing to go for it since they already had a running start.
So Japan's economy was doing pretty well?
It was doing pretty well. It was growing for a while, but then by the 1850s, economic growth slowed down because of some of Japan's technological limitations. It revealed their backwardness compared to the Western technology and science. So all of that, along with the rural protests that we talked about before, made Japan eager to accept the Western challenge.
Oh, interesting. I heard that there were some countries that were resistant to change because of religious reasons. Did anything like that affect Japan?
It actually didn't. During the 19th century, Neo-Confucianism was gaining over Buddhism, but overall Japan was becoming more and more secular over time. So there's no religious-based resistance like there may have been in other countries, and Japan was lucky that they didn't have to deal with that element.
Thank you, Tori. And now we have interviews with Matthew Perry and Isakaki Yataro with Tina Gang live from Japan. Hello, Tina.
In Japan with Matthew Perry today. So Matthew, I hear that you had a big impact on pressuring Japan into industrialization. Tell me a little more about that.
Yes, I did. I brought my navy to Japan from America, which got the Japanese to realize that they were weak and were too isolated from the world. The steamships that I brought impressed the Japanese, which made them realize that they were backwards compared to Western technology. Eventually, I was able to sign a treaty with them, which opened 2 Japanese ports to American ships for trading.
What did you do next? Did they leave you alone? Did they try to fight you?
Well, I attempted to intimidate the Japanese by presenting them with a white flag and a letter, which told them that in case they chose to combat, that we, the Americans, would destroy them. My ships were equipped with new shell guns capable of wrecking anything in its path.
What did the Japanese government do about that threat?
Once the Japanese government realized that their country was in no position to defend itself against any foreign power, and Japan could not retain its isolation policy without risking war, the Japanese realized that their only option was to open up Japan.
Thank you, Matthew Perry. Up next, we have Iwasaki Yataro, and we are going to discuss the industrial life of Japan before and after the effects on it.
You can get with that. You can get with this, or you can get with that. You can get with this, or you can get with that. I think you can get with this, cause this is kind of fat. Where's the black sheep? Here's the black sheep. Even if we wanted to, the clock cannot be weak. Watch me swing like this. Why should I swing it like that? Because in fact, on me it might not attract. This, or you can get with that. You can get with this, or you can get with that. You can get with this, or you can get with that. I think you can get with this, cause this is where it's at. You can get with this, or you can get with that. You can get with this, or baby. Come on.
About 2 minutes.
Welcome back. Today here live in Japan we have Iwasaki Yataro who helped find the Mitsubishi Company. Today we will discuss the industrial life of Japan before and after the effects on it.
Konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa. So Mr. Yataro, could you tell us why was Japan industrialized and imperialized?
Well, the main reason is because of Western tensions that try to influence Eastern Asia. Other Asian countries rejected their influence, but being isolated from the world for a long time, we could see that as an opportunity to get as powerful as the Western nations. After Matthew Perry came in, he changed the government and the feudal system was abolished. This gave me a chance to start my own business with steamships. Japan was gradually changing to embrace the Western culture and to model their styles. Becoming imperialized and industrialized wasn't too difficult because of the people's loyalty to the nation, which helped us rise to power quicker.
But I've heard there were several riots to prevent it. What about those?
Well, mostly the older generations were conservatives against the Western influence. There were tensions rising similar to other industrialized stages of the Western nation, such as rural riots against the wealthy peasants. This was the cost of changing our society and rising as one of the world powers.
Oh, I see. What were the effects on the industrialization?
Well, there was steady population growth, new studies in medicine, and universal educational system. It's very similar to the industrialized Western nations.
Thank you, Mr. Yataro. And to conclude the effects of the Industrial Revolution, when Japan finally industrialized, it led them to economic change, creating a shift in Japanese foreign policy. The new imperialism in Japan also helped give displaced samurais a place to exercise their military talents. Japan was poor in many basic materials such as coal and oil, so the pressure for them to expand was extreme. Also, the quick victory over China in the Sino-Japanese War over Korea was the first step of expansion for Japan. It showed the power Japan had over other Asian countries. Later then, Japan was humiliated by Western insistence that Japan should abandon the Liaodong Peninsula that they had just won from China. As a result, Japan planned a war against Russia as a way of striking out against a European state. They also wanted to weaken Russia's growing power. In the end, disputes over Russian influence in Manchuria and Japan influence in Korea led to Russo-Japanese War in 1904, which Japan victoriously won due to their superior navy. Thank you, that is all. And now back to Jessica.
Thank you, Tina, and this concludes RJ World News for tonight. Thank you for tuning in. See you next time from all of us here at RJ World News. Thank you. Good night.
Which made them realize that they were backwards compared to Western technology. Eventually, I was able to sign a treaty with them, which opened 2 Japanese ports to American ships for trading.
What did you do next?
Policy without risking war. The Japanese realized that their only option.
Welcome, Tori. Please tell us, did the Japanese end up embracing the industrialization? From what I know, most countries had to go through much rioting for their industrialization to occur.
Attributed their willingness to change when the opportunity arose.
Could you tell us
Problems. The taxes were based on agriculture, even though
Isakaki, Yataro, and Matthew Perry? Just like other Asian countries such as China and Japan.
take